Today's video is going to be about the text messages and the voicemails that Rand Paul just released yesterday. Rand Paul and that Ron Johnson, I guess, they released it. And the report that I saw this morning said that they had 34,000 of text messages and voicemails, I guess. And this is just a small amount of them that they're releasing. They're releasing a little bit at a time. And I'm not shocked with the information that's being revealed. Of course, I had to make some notes here. The text that were just dropped by Senators Paul and Johnson revealed that in January of 2021, Fauci privately told Walensky and Murthy the second vaccine dose could theoretically cause first trimester miscarriages from, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, cytokine. Am I pronouncing that right? Cytokine. Storm and fever. Cytokine. Storm and fever. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm terrible at them medical words. I don't know who in the hell is. And why do they always make words you can barely pronounce? Let alone understand what the hell they have. But anyways, and the same time he told the public, at the same time he was telling the public there was no red flags. But in his private messages, he was admitting that, yeah, there is something going on and we need to pay attention to it. And the media only ran the public line. Now, Trump is something else kind of bleeding in with this. Trump's cutting the childhood schedule from 17 to 18 down to 11 core shots to match peer countries and give parents more way. This morning I watched CBS News and I noticed that they didn't mention that little part that, yes, he's cutting down the amount of vaccines that children mandatorily have to have, but they left out the fact that he did it in a way that if parents want their children to have these extra vaccines, it's up to the parents to make the decision. And that's why I included that in my notes for today's show. Back when this vaccine thing all happened, and I mentioned this in a previous video, that here in the state of Maine, because of everything that was going on at the time and all of this stuff that was in the news and Fauci saying, oh, we all gotta, get under our tables and act like a nuclear bomb has gone off. Because if you all remember it like I do, it was some of the craziest times I ever lived through. Really, you didn't know whether this virus really was what they were saying it was. There were certain people saying on one side of the fence, well, yeah, it's a virus and it's kind of like a flu. But then on the other side of the fence, you got people saying, well, if you don't take this vaccine that they've come out with, you're going to die because this virus will kill you if you catch it. And then the big thing about spreading it to each other. And I mean, they really blew everything right up. And I got to be honest with you, at the time, I've never known anything about virology, and all I know is every couple of years there's always a virus that comes out, and on average, worldwide, you're going to have hundreds of thousands of people that will die from the virus. or I shouldn't say because of the virus, but there are some people that are already vulnerable. They're already in situations where, in other words, all they need is just a little bit more to cause them to pass away. And sometimes a simple flu virus that you and I might catch and might lay us up for 3 or 4 days. Well, there are some people, because of their current condition, then they catch a virus on top of it and it kills them. The virus don't. They're preconditioned. Because of their precondition, their body can't take any more, and one more virus is just enough to cause them to pass away. God bless their souls. So all of this was going on, and here in the state of Maine, they decided that there was a lot of parents that did not want to send their children to school because of all of this hype that Fauci and other people, it wasn't just Fauci, but he was the primary, when he came on that TV screen and told everybody this is the way things are. And because of the things that he was saying, and then everybody that was saying and repeating what he was saying, building this right up, it caused parents here in Maine to decide that they didn't want to send their children to school unless all of the students got vaccinated. Now, I understand that, and I have no problem with a parent wanting to protect their child and doing what they think is right. It's not my place to tell them what they can or can't do. But on the flip side of that, this is where I put up a big fuss about it. The state of Maine, and I believe it was Janet Mills and her administration, due to parents voicing their opinion, decided that they wanted to make it mandatory that if you live here in the state of Maine and you have a child, and if your child is going to attend any school of any town, city, your child has to be vaccinated. And if you make the choice of not vaccinating your child, okay, that's your choice, but you can't send them to school. If you choose to not vaccinate your child, then you're going to have to homeschool or whatever else is available. And the only other thing that I could ever figure out a person could do in that situation is they'd either homeschool the child, or you'd have to pack your family up and move to a state that doesn't have this mandatory vaccinate children before they can go to school. And for me, I felt that that was extremely unfair for certain parents who are against giving their children vaccines for that kind of a virus, because it was determined that the virus was basically a flu virus. It was a COVID virus. And because vulnerable people who caught it and passed away, the media and Fauci took that and exploded it into, well, even healthy people if they catch it. And it was right here in his own text. In his own text. This first one that was released by Rand Paul and Johnson clearly proves that he was telling the media, oh, you pregnant women ain't got a thing to worry about. Go ahead and take it. But in his own private messages, he absolutely knew that that was a lie. Absolutely knew it. And this is the thing that I don't understand about Fauci and why he did what he did. But here he was saying this crap here and putting pregnant women in a vulnerable situation, and their unborn children. Here in the state of Maine pushed a law and convinced a whole bunch of parents that it was right to put parents in a position where they have to vaccinate their child when they don't want to. That's where I had my big beef. And I think that was in 2021, maybe 2022. I can't remember now, but I remember me and several people on Facebook. I would get on there and we would argue back and forth on it, debating it. And there were as many people that were, yes, we need to make every child vaccinated before they go to school against these type of viruses that come out every year. And my position always was, well, you should allow a parent to make that decision. Don't allow the state that amount of power to put a parent in a position where they're forced to do something that they don't want to do, and puts them and their family in a position where they may have to do something as drastic as loading up the car or the van and moving to another state. That's totally and completely unfair. Well, first off, you got these lies that this little bastard did. This is why I do not like Anthony Fauci. And this is why I want to see him, if he's not going to get prosecuted, this man should absolutely be put into the history books as a very, very evil person. Now, if it came out and he was doing what he was doing because he was worried about other countries doing this gain of function like he was supporting, and they were doing it because they wanted to use it against another country as warfare, and he was doing something to prevent that or whatever, if his intentions were truly and honestly good, then I would give him that benefit of the doubt, and I would say, no, you don't need to prosecute him. But when he did this crap here, you really stop and think about this. He told women who were pregnant, go ahead and take it, don't worry about it. And at the same time that he's telling these pregnant women with those innocent children that they're carrying, go ahead and take it, you're going to be fine. And they did. But at the same time, he knew that it was going to cause, what the heck was this? Some kind of miscarriage. It was going to cause first trimester miscarriages. He knew it. And yet he told, now you tell me, how does that right there work into trying to protect the country from another country using viruses as a warfare thing? How does that figure in? I mean, if somebody in the comments wants to leave an explanation for that and correct me, you're more than welcome to. I'm wide open. But as it stands right now, from what I can see, this guy was drunk on power, and he knew that he could get in front of a TV camera and sit there and basically say, I want you all to stand on your hands and recite the Lord's Prayer and get millions of people to do it, and then get off on the power he had of getting people to do what he said. And it's quite obvious because in his diary that was released here 3 weeks ago, he was getting right off on the, look at how everybody likes me, and I'm popular, and I'm on the cover of magazines. And I mean, this, to me, what it seems like, this whole thing was all to him, was all about him. He didn't care about your health or mine. He didn't care. He was using a virus and the hype that the media was using to just propel his fame into the stratosphere. And he was loving it. And the more that he was like a kid eating candy. The more he was eating it, the more he was enjoying it, and the more he wanted it. And he became a glutton. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I cannot wait for the rest of this to come out. I cannot wait. Because I want everybody to see what happens when you put the wrong people in positions of power. Especially like this. Especially like this. And I know it was Ronald Reagan that appointed this guy back in the 80s sometime. Was it 88, 84, 88? The guy had been in there for a long, long time. And I guess maybe I need to do some research to find out why Ronald Reagan picked this guy. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, for all them years that he was in there, if this is what he was doing just in the last, we'll say, 8 or 10 years, well, we know right now, because of his diaries and because of released documents, that he and Obama had been doing this stuff at least as far back as 2014. That was 12 years ago. So for 12 years, Anthony Fauci knew this stuff. So did Barack Obama. And to some extent, did George Bush? Did George W. Bush know? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes. But I do know that if Fauci was doing this stuff now, how long has he been doing it? And what I mean by stuff, how many times has a virus come out in the past? How many times did he give a recommendation that was more based on his own personal whims versus what it actually was? Because if he lied right here, and look at what he caused because of these lies. I'd like to know the number. How many women were pregnant and then had a miscarriage because of this vaccine? You know there had to have been at least one or more. There had to have been. And in a situation like this, I don't know about you, but one is too many. And the number after that, like if it's 2, 3, 4, 1,000, 15,000, I don't know. I got no idea. I just don't know what to think about it. I really don't. I mean, my opinion is, in order to make this right, Anthony Fauci must face some kind of justice. For me. Now, I know he's 80 some odd years old. That's not the point. Age is not the point. The point is how many people got lied to and got misdirected. How many people died because of this misguided, deliberately misguided information that he pushed. I don't know. But I definitely want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you think. I know there's a lot of you out there that feel the same way I do. I don't understand everything there is about viruses. I'm not a virologist. I understand that there are other countries that do this gain of function, and they're playing God. There's no question about it. That's why our country banned it and got rid of it. It's something that should not be screwed with. It really shouldn't. I wish the world would ban this gain of function, because I don't really see where there's any benefits to manipulating viruses that normally wouldn't even bother humans, but then manipulated into so that they can. sure there's a lot to it that I don't understand, and I'm speaking out of turn here, but I'm looking at the pursuit of happiness in life, and this is something that interferes with it, and it's wrong. Just in general. But then you have someone like this Fauci guy who is given this position of power, and because he's been there so long, he just gets absolutely drunk on that power and then uses it to do what he did. And then on top of that, see him sit in front of a committee who wants to ask him questions about this, and he's got a pardon. That's why he was pardoned. You get pardons because you've done something wrong, but because of the powers that be, you're given a pardon so you don't have to face the justice for what you did. I guess there are states, a friend of mine, Nancy Caldwell, she said that the state of Florida was going to go after Fauci on charges related to this, and we'll see how that turns out. I hope state of Florida is successful and nails this guy to the wall, and I hope there's other states that do the same thing. I absolutely hope for their 100% success on this. This man is something else. He is absolutely something else. Okay, that's the end of the video. I want you guys please to like, share, subscribe. Absolutely, please leave a comment. I want to hear what you got to say. I basically said what I feel and where I stand. I want to hear where you do too. Like I said, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. And I'll catch you tomorrow in my next video. Today is Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. I hope you guys have a great day. I think today is going to be a good day here. The weatherman said the humidity is going to start going down, so today is going to be a little bit better. And I hope your day is going to be better too. Okay, we'll catch you in the next video. We be going.